Yo, what is up, everybody? It's Rasco back again with another horror story for you guys. This one is another one written by Jacob Harris, titled Don't Turn Around. Remember to check out the links in the description. Show love to the author. Like, comment, and subscribe. Chapter 1. Another busy lunch break had come for the students at the Abarashi School for Girls. It was a time to not only fill their hungry stomachs, but a time for the girls to put aside scholarly subjects and discuss topics that were of far greater importance. As was customary, Sayuri and her friends were eating lunch in room 3B. From the third story one, you could see the entire schoolyard, and it was far from the vantage point that Sayuri's closest friend, Hannah, liked to stare down at the other students and see them as nothing more than insignificant bugs. Had Hannah not handpicked her to be her friend, Sayuri surely would never have chosen to be friends with such a girl. For Hannah was as cruel and mean-spirited as anyone Sayuri has ever had the misfortune of knowing. And it was the fact that Sayuri's father, the prominent businessman, that made her desirable to Hannah. Rounding out the clique were Aika and Nami. Nothing particularly stood out about the two, other than the fact that they also came from money. And what Hannah especially liked about them was their constant desire to please her. Had Sayuri been blessed with more confidence, she surely would have broken free from the group. But she feared Hannah would have had her blacklisted and left without friends. And that would have made her just like Shizuko. Oh hey, look at Shizuko. She's asleep again. Shizuko was well known as one of the least popular girls in school, and she had once again fallen asleep at her desk. Shizuko kept mostly to herself, rarely ever saying more than a few words unless spoken to first. And for some reason, that made Hannah loathe her. What a lazy dog, said Nami. But Sayuri knew the reason behind Shizuko's constant school-time naps. She had once overheard Shizuko while she was taking a call from her employer. It was then when it became known that Sayuri had Shizuko was always exhausted at school because she worked nights in office buildings. I found out the other day that her father works at the same hospital as mine, said Hannah, who was staring coldly at the students in the schoolyard. Is he a doctor? Asked Nami. Anna immediately began laughing. Oh, you were serious? Of course not. He's just a janitor. I saw him eating at the restaurant one day with Shizuko. I knew he looked familiar. Then I remembered where I had seen him. I had seen him taking the garbage out of my father's office. I bet one day his daughter will be doing the same for me. It would only make sense, seeing as she's a piece of trash herself. Sayuri would never admit to the others, but when she was younger, she and Shizuko were very close friends. But Shizuko's father moved the family when he was offered a very high-paying job. Years later, Shizuko returned and was transferred to Shizuri's school. But she had made no attempt to rekindle the friendship. Shizuri knew it was because of the company she kept now. Anyone familiar with Hannah would have to assume that anyone associated with her was just as cruel and just as vindictive. I hate that girl, said Hannah. now burning a hole through Shizuko with her stare. Just knowing that she exists offends me. The world would be a better place if people like her just disappeared. Wouldn't you agree, Sayuri-chan? It wasn't immediate, but Shizuri eventually answered the question. Yes? A voice a little more than a whisper. Like anyone who knew Anna like she did, Sayuri couldn't help but live in constant fear of her best friend. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of Chapter 1. Yo, what is up, everybody? Ceresco back again. Another chapter from the story Don't Turn Around, written by Jacob Harris. Remember to check out the links in the description below to show love to the author. Like, comment, and subscribe. Chapter 2. When the final classes of the day had finished, students hurried off to get a start on the rest of their day. Like most days, Shizuko lingered. She stayed behind for the simple fact that she didn't want to get caught in the rush of students. That way, she could avoid those awkward situations where she might bump into someone and have to utter an apology. But, unlike most days, where Sayuri and her friends were among the first to make their escape, the four had stayed behind. They gave Shizuko quite the scare when they jumped out at her from around the corner of the hallway. Hey Shizuko, do you have any plans? Asked Nami. Wanna go to the beach with us? Asked Aika. I don't know if I should. I'm not supposed to go anywhere after school. I'm supposed to go straight home. But the beach is so close, said Nami. Come on, you'll be back home in no time, added Aika. Hana placed her hand on Shizuko's shoulder. Don't you want to be our friend? Trying her best to sound as if the words coming out of her mouth had been formed out of sincerity and not from malice. Shizuko looked hesitant to answer. She took a moment to look at all the smiling faces around her. Oddly, the only face that wasn't smiling was the one most familiar to her. Shizuri, so miserable. And when Shizuko's eyes met hers, Shizuri looked away. Even so, seeing Shizuri's face was enough to make Shizuko smile. Okay. And the girls wasted no time catching the next bus, headed to the beach. Anna, Nami, and Aika shared a seat at the front, while Shizuri and Shizuko shared one in the back. Since transferring to your school, I was wondering when we would get a chance to hang out again, said Shizuko. She wore a smile that looked so strangely out of place on her. I've been wanting to talk to you, but you're always with your friends, so I didn't want to bother you. But now, we get to be friends again. How did you come back? Asked Shizuri. Well, after my mom died, my dad and I didn't have a choice. My dad's salary wasn't enough to cover all the medical bills. Even after selling our house, still couldn't get out of debt. We could barely afford the rent on a one-bedroom apartment, so my aunt invited us to come back here so we could live with her. Oh, I didn't know your mom died. I'm sorry. Even from the back of the bus, Shizuri and Shizuko could hear the wild laughter coming from the others. Had Shizuko been able to look away from Shizuri, Shizuri would have seen that the laughter would come only after the others had taken peeks back at them. Shizuri had noticed the peeks, though, and she was well aware that the laughter was all at Shizuko's expense. It's not so bad, said Shizuko. At our apartment, I could only stare out at the window, but at my aunt's house, I can lie on the grass there at the sky at night. Try to see how many stars I can count. I know it sounds dumb. That's why I only count them on the nights where there aren't that many. Remember how we used to do that when we were young? No matter how many I counted, we were always able to count more. Because I lied. I would always let you go first. That way I could just make up a bigger number. So that's how you did it. Shizuko then let out a small laugh, prompting Chizuru to do the same. It was happening gradually, but Chizuru was growing comfortable with Shizuko, making it feel as if their time apart had never taken place. Sure that the others were going to play a prank on Shizuko, Chizuru decided she would tell her friend before the others had a chance to make a fool out of her. Hey, Shizuko. Before Chizuru could finish what she had to say, Hana popped up from behind the seat in front of them. Hey, why aren't you two sitting up front with the rest of us? Making us feel left out. We were just talking. Well, we're trying to figure out what we're gonna eat after going to the beach. But Aika says she won't eat danburi, and because her mom made her eat it last night, and I don't want the buri either. So, what do you two want? Shizuko then asked, "Can we have udon?" Udon? How about you, Siri-chan? What do you want? I don't know. Can't even choose what you want to eat? Thought a choice like that would be easy for one of you to make. A short time later, the girls arrived at the beach. Nami and Aika wasted no time in sprinting toward the sand, looking like a couple of children as they did so. Hey, get back here, demanded Hana. We didn't come here for that. Both girls were smiling half-heartedly when they returned to Hana's side. It was evident that having been yelled at had frightened them. Rather than frolicking by the surf, the girls led Shizuko down a narrow path just off the side of the beach. They had insisted Shizuko cover her eyes with her hand to keep her from spoiling the surprise. To keep the girl from falling in her blind state, Nami and Aika guided her by her shoulders the whole way. Where are we going? Asked Shizuko. Shh, it's a secret, Nami replied. Yeah, so no peeking, added Aika. Stop right there, said Hana, when Nami and Aika had led Shizuko to the perfect spot. Shizuko was now standing only steps away from the edge of a cliff, overlooking a grouping of jagged rocks below. What are you doing? Yuri asked Hana, and she found just how dangerous a prank the others have decided to pull on Shizuko. You can look now, said Hana. When Shizuko removed her hand from her eyes, she nearly lost her balance. She found herself near a fall that would most certainly lead to an untimely death. Before Shizuko could turn around and begin backing away from the cliff, Hana spoke up in a most unpleasant tone. Hey, Shizuko-san, don't turn around. You don't want to know what'll happen if you do. What is this? You think you're so high and mighty, don't you? What makes you think you're better than us? Your dad's just a janitor. Yeah, your breath smells like a dog's, exclaimed Nami. Your boobs are so small, exclaimed Aika. Why are you doing this? Please stop this, said Sayuri, her voice barely loud enough for Hana to hear, despite the fact that the two were standing next to each other. What are you talking about? You knew we were gonna do this. No, I didn't. Dog's breath, yelled Nami and Eika in unison. Nami then picked up a rock and threw it at Shizuko, narrowly missing her, hitting her foot. Eika then threw a rock that hit Shizuki in the foot, nearly making the poor girl lose her balance. "Stupid, what are you doing?" whispered Nami. "It was an accident," Eika whispered back. Sayuri-chan, why? "Stop it!" exclaimed Sayuri, knocking the rocks out of Nami and Aika's hands. "Whose side are you on?" "Yeah, we agreed that we were going to do this to her," said I, "and we're all in this together, so stop acting so high and mighty." "No, I never wanted to do this. I'm nothing like you." While the three argued and even began shoving, Hana picked up a rock and threw it at Shizuko, hitting her in the back of the head. The impact dazed the girl so badly that she lost her balance and fell over the edge of the cliff. Seeing this, everyone came to an immediate halt. It felt as if the world had stopped just for them and because of what they had done. She lost her balance. Didn't have anything to do with it. The girls, ever so slowly, made their way to the edge of the cliff. Sprawled out on the now bloody rocks below was Shizuki's lifeless body. "Shizuko!" screamed Sayuri. Unable to stomach such a sight, Nami ran off, but she was forced to bring her retreat to an abrupt halt when she began vomiting violently. Hana also ran from the edge, but she had only run off to collect Shizuko's book bag. When she returned, Hana attempted to throw it off the cliff, but Shizuri snapped the bag away from her before she could. What are you doing? We have to throw it over so it looks like an accident. If she doesn't have her bag, the police won't get suspicious." "No, I won't let you." "Come on, we need to get out of here," Aika said, who was tending to Nami. "Come on, if somebody sees us, they'll know we had something to do with this." Hana stood chest to chest with Shizuri. If anybody finds out about you having that bag, we're all gonna be executed. Do you understand? I'm not gonna die because of someone like her. Hoping to establish an alibi, the girls hurried back to the town and stopped in at the near restaurant. Hana insisted the girls eat despite their unsettling stomachs and act as if nothing out of the ordinary had taken place. As far as the other customers and the staff were concerned, the four were just regular teenage girls spending a night out. "I don't want them, Bori," said Nami, who was fighting a losing battle to keep her tears at bay. I just want to go home." "Shut your mouth already. You haven't stopped whining since we got here. Do you want everyone to see you crying? If they see you, they'll know something's wrong. Shut up and eat." "You're the one who wanted them, boy, remember? You're always complaining that we never do what you want. Well, now you're doing something that you want. Why the hell are you complaining, huh?" Hana had scolded Nami so loudly that some of the other customers couldn't help but look in their direction. Sorry, said Hana, with a polite smile on her face. "Or maybe we can go back and I'll make you eat all that stuff you threw up. So help me, if they pull your DNA out of it." "It's okay," said Aika. "I kicked dirt over it." An ambulance sped by the restaurant. Its lights were flashing and its siren was blaring. The girls were noticeably startled by it. Acting as if the ambulance had done nothing but bother her, Hana began eating. Though she was ruthless, her hands were shaking visibly as she did so. As she had begun doing since the group had arrived at the restaurant, Chizuru kept her gaze on the floor. This prompted Hana to cast a most unpleasant glare at her. After their impromptu night out, the girls went their separate ways. Chizuru went straight to her room after making it home. What had happened to Shizuko played itself out over and over in Chizuru's head. It wasn't so much the blood on the rocks that disturbed her, so nor was it the awkward positioning of Shizuko's mangled limbs. It was her eyes. Every time that scene replayed in her mind, Chizuru couldn't help but feel as if Shizuko was staring directly at her, making it seem as if the girl who had lost her life wanted to know why Chizuru would play a part in such a thing. Having made sure her door was locked, Chizuru opened Shizuko's bag and began looking through it. At first glance, there looked to be nothing out of the ordinary. There was nothing but books and other school supplies. Sticking out of a book was a piece of paper. There was nothing odd about a piece of paper placed inside a book, but something compelled Chizuru to take it out. When she found out what it was, stabbing pain immediately inflicted itself upon the pit of Chizuru's stomach. What she had found was a picture she had drawn years ago when she and Shizuko were in elementary school. It was of the two of them in a grassy field under a starry sky. Chizuru had given it to Shizuko after telling her she hoped the two would be friends forever. Shizuko, whispered a now sobbing Chizuru. It was immediately after calling her friend's name when the floorboard creaked. Chizuru was hesitant to turn around, thinking her mother had entered through a door that hadn't been properly locked. If that was so, then she surely would have heard Chizuru speak the name that would soon be referenced numerous times in newspapers and now news broadcasts. Mustering the courage, Chizuru turned around but found no one there. That, ladies and gentlemen, the end of chapter 2. Yo, what is up, everybody? Let's go back again. Another chapter from the story Don't Turn Around, written by Jacob Harris. Remember to check out the links in the description. Show love to the author. Like, comment, and subscribe. Chapter 3. During a break between classes the next day, Hana took Nami and Aika to the roof of the school. It was there where the three would find Sayuri, who had said some very troubling things to Yami earlier that day. "Hey, what's this I hear about you wanting to confess?" shouted Hana. "Yeah, I think it might be the best thing for us to do. We tell the police it was an accident, they'll go easy on us. The fact that we're all minors might keep us from getting too harsh of a sentence." "Huh, you think if you go to the police they'll go easy on you just because you made it easy for them to solve the case? What makes you think you're better than the rest of us? You get into trouble just as much as us." "Is that what you want?" asked Nami. "To get us in trouble, huh?" "I don't know what makes you think you'll be in less trouble than the rest of us. If anything, you'll be in more trouble." What do you mean?" "Think about it. There's 3 of us and only 1 of you. All we have to do is tell the police that it was all your idea to cover things up. You wanted to confess, but you wouldn't tell us. You threatened us. You told us your father had powerful connections and he would make sure the 3 of us kept our mouths shut." "You wouldn't?" "Huh. You want to find out? Look at it this way, said Aika. If one of us talks to the police, then we'll all get in trouble. None of us talks, none of us will get in trouble. Think about what I said. Next time you get an idea, like going to the police, said Hannah. And with that, she, Nami, and Aika took their leave. After the unfortunate meeting, Yuri went to the bathroom to splash some cold water on her face. So upset was she over what Hannah had told her that she could barely keep the water cupped in her shaking hands from spilling out. The cool water had helped calm Sayuri down, but her troubles would return in abundance when she looked into the mirror and found Shizuko standing behind her. Turning quickly, Sayuri found there was no one in the bathroom with her. She once again looked into the mirror. The only thing she found was her panicked reflection staring back at her. Wanting to put recent events out of her mind, Hannah took Nami and Aika out for some much-needed amusement after school. The local karaoke box never failed to lift the girls' spirits when they were in much need of cheering up. "Hey, how come you didn't bring Sayuri with us?" asked Aika, as she browsed through the song catalog. She likes karaoke more than anyone. I already told you, she's not here because she's pissing me off. What more do I need to say? So, does that mean she's not our friend anymore? Well, that's up to her. Despite the lethargic state Nami was in, Hannah tried to hand her the microphone. "Hey, it's your turn." "I don't feel like it." "Hey, what's wrong with you? Still feel bad about what we did?" Nami did not reply. "Well, you better stop acting like that, because if anyone notices different about any of us, then we're as good as dead. Understand?" "I'll go next," said Aika, taking the microphone from Hannah. "Hey, don't worry about Nami. She's just moody. In a few days, she'll start acting like her old self." "She had better." Unable to get the image of Shizuko out of her head, Chizuri hurried home and took to her computer, hoping to find some answers. Most of the sites she found had no pertinent information that could help her. But there was one website that provided something that troubled her. A spirit that is still struggling with love, hate, or sorrow may be unable to pass on. These emotions are strong enough, the spirit can return to the world of the living. Spirits have been known to come back to haunt their tormentors. Some have even been known to bring death to those who wronged them. Not wanting to read anymore, Zuri turned off her computer. That's just folklore. Those are just stories they tell to scare the little kids. In the reflection of her monitor, Zuri caught a glimpse of Shizuko. When she turned to look, Zuri found no one else in her room. Hannah and Aika were having boisterous fun at karaoke. They were singing as happily as two people who hadn't had a care in the world. Nami, on the other hand, was unable to partake in the festivities. Her mood was one that had remained unchanged since the death she and the others had caused. "What song should we sing next?" asked Aika. Pick something slow. I want to feel like I'm in love," said Hannah. A horrible scratching sound began blaring from the speakers. What's happening? What did you do?" asked Hannah. "Hey, I didn't do anything." Aika then frantically began pushing buttons in hopes of making the horrible noise go away. The one thing she did accomplish, however, was making the main light go out and replacing it with flashing ones. How does that help us? Barked Hana. Nami's eyes nearly doubled in size when she found Shizuko standing behind her friends. The recently departed girl looked no worse for wear after having fallen off a cliff. Nami screamed a bone-chilling scream. It was immediately after that when that horrible sound came to an end and the lights returned to normal. What's going on? Why'd you scream? Asked Hana. Shizuko was no longer in the room, but that wasn't enough to calm Nami, who ran from the room without explaining herself. Without having anyone push any buttons, another song began playing. It was a cheery number that took on an eerie feeling with what had just happened. Hey, I told you to pick something slow, said Hana. And that is the end of chapter 3. Yo, what is up everybody? Ceresco back again. Another chapter from the story Don't Turn Around, written by Jacob Harris. Remember to check out the links in the description. Show love to the author. Like, comment, and subscribe. Chapter 4. There was a buzz at school next day. Everyone was talking about the recent stories in the local newspapers, and on morning news, shows about the discovery of Shizuko's body. Police had given very little information, so students were curious to know if the death was a suicide, an accident, or possibly murder. Not more than an hour into instruction, Mizuri, Hana, Nami, and Aika were pulled from their classes. The pair of detectives had come to their school and were looking for answers that would lead them to who was responsible for Shizuko's death. Hana was first to be questioned. How close were you to this Shizuko girl? Asked Detective Yamamoto. I wasn't close to her at all. I didn't even know her. I have enough friends. I don't need any more than what I already have. Really? And how do you explain why the janitor told us how he saw you and your friends leaving school with her? I don't know what you're talking about. We didn't go anywhere with her. She might have been leaving school at the same time as us, but that doesn't mean we were hanging out with her. Besides, what does the janitor know? He's so old he can barely see. But he can see well enough to get excited whenever a pretty girl walks by him. It's him he should be investigating, not me. He did say something about not having his glasses on when he saw the girls. He might have been mistaken. You know, I have a daughter about your age. She has a good life. She's pretty, has a lot of friends, gets good grades in school. No one has a bad thing to say about her. I don't know what I would do if I found out someone was bullying her. He then leaned in towards Hana and said, "Can you imagine what I would do?" The smell of cigarettes hit Hana's nose like a snap face. From what I've been told, this Shizuko girl wasn't very popular. I probably would have made her an easy target for bullies. This is harassment, blamed Hana. You can't blame this on me. I didn't do anything. If you keep up with this line of questioning, I'll tell my dad to hire a lawyer. He'll sue you and the city for everything you're worth. This one has a lot of fire. Please understand where we're coming from. We have to cover all our bases to make sure we don't miss anything. We're not saying you and your friends had anything to do with this. We just want to know if you know anything. None of us know anything. When you ask the others, they'll tell you the same. So you shouldn't even bother wasting your breath. Probably just killed herself. I mean, you said it yourself. You didn't have many friends. Suicide. We've been seeing a lot of those lately. People are always looking for an easy way out. You know, smoking isn't allowed on school grounds. After taking a puff, Yamamoto grinned, showing his teeth that had been yellow from years of his bad habit. Yeah, just let this be our little secret, okay? I'm sure a girl like you is good at keeping secrets. After school, the girls met up in an empty classroom. So, everyone stuck with the story? I told you there was nothing they can do to us. We all just stuck together. Is it over? Asked Nami. The police done with us? Yeah, it's never over with them. So, be careful what you say. Could have microphones hidden everywhere. I'm sure they'll wiretap our phones. And if you ever see someone watching you from the shadows, probably them. I don't want to live like that. Well, that's too bad. That's what happens when you're a criminal. Stop trying to scare her, said Chizuru. She's been through enough. Don't worry about it, Nami-chan, said Aika. The worst is over. There's nothing that they can do to us. So, cheer up, okay? Really? Aika gave her friend a nod and a smile. I don't know about you guys, but all this talk has made me hungry. Aika, treat me to sushi. When making the request, Hannah had used a much friendlier tone. It was something that neither Aika nor Nami had ever picked up. But Chizuru always noticed how friendly Hannah became when she wanted something. Okay, replied Aika. Are you coming, Nami? Asked Hannah. Though she had posed the question to Nami, Hannah had been looking at Sayuri when she asked it. Yeah, I'm coming. Can you wait for me out front? I have something I need to do first. Okay, but don't be too long, said Aika. When Hannah and Aika were out of the room, Nami asked a very startling question. Chizuru-chan, do you believe after a person dies, they might be able to come back? Why? Did you see something? When Nami failed to make eye contact, Yuri knew something was wrong. What did you see? Did you see her? Did you see Shizuko? Tell me if you did. Yes. Hey Nami, if you're not coming, we're going without you, said Hannah. Alright, I'll be right there. I have to go now, Sayuri-chan. Wait, what were you gonna tell me? There was a very poor excuse for a smile upon Nami's face. It was nothing. Don't worry about it, okay? Like Aika-chan said, the worst is over. And with that, Nami quickly gathered her things and took her leave. Nami, said Chizuru. I saw her too. Unfortunately for Chizuru, Nami was already out of the room by the time she had made her confession. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of chapter 4. Yo, what is up everybody? Let's go back again. Another chapter from the story Don't Turn Around, written by Jacob Harris. Remember to check out the links in the description. Show love to the author. Like, comment, and subscribe. Chapter 5. After having had sushi with her friends, Nami went home and straight to her room. It was late and she needed to get started on her homework. Her parents had left for a late dinner shortly after she had come home, leaving Nami all alone in a disturbingly dark house. The only light to be found was coming from her small desktop lamp. I don't get this at all. Nami said, fumbling through her net textbook. Why do we have to learn this stuff anyway? We're never gonna use it. Nami's cell phone began ringing. Hello? Hey Nami, it's me. Oh, Shizuri-chan, what's up? Need help on your homework? I was thinking about what you told me at school today. You asked me about ghosts. You didn't get a chance to talk. Forget about that. I was just feeling a little stressed. Everything that's happened recently. My mind was just starting to play tricks on me. No, Nami, listen. It's okay, Shizuri-chan. Let's not talk about this anymore. I wanna move on. But, hey look, you wanna go to this game center with us tomorrow? I know Hannah might be mad at you, but I'll talk to her. I think she's just in one of her moods. Nami, please listen to me. Even through her cell phone, Sayuri could hear distinctly the sound of footsteps on the other end of the line. Nami had a wood floor, which made it easy to hear when someone was walking across the room. Nami, someone there with you? As well as Shizuri had heard the footsteps, they were far more noticeable to Yami. Hey Nami-chan, said a girl's voice that was deathly familiar to her. This was followed by a hand coming to a rest on her shoulder. Don't turn around. Jiri had heard what had been said on her cell phone, and the next thing she heard was a scream that sent chills down her spine. Nami-chan? Nami-chan! The next day, Detectives Yamamoto and Tamaki paid another visit to the school. They were met with even more defiance when they interviewed Anna. So, you know another girl from your school has met her fate. Tamaki opened a window as Yamamoto took a long drag from his cigarette as Hannah burned the glare into him. Look, I don't know if you should be referring to her death in that way. Things keep going this way, you won't have any friends left. No, but look, I already told you. Suzuko wasn't my friend. No, but Nami was. And now she's dead. That can't be a coincidence. Maybe a guilty conscience left her with no other choice. Or maybe someone was trying to keep her quiet because of the information he had. Look, just come out and say it. You think I had something to do with this. You have some nerve. One of my best friends is dead, and you're pointing the finger at me? Though she was acting as if she was the victim, Hannah's acting skills were less than impressive. It was easy to tell that she was far from disheartened over what had happened to Nami that she was letting on. Then why is she dead? Doesn't make sense. Her death has to have something to do with what happened to that Shizuko girl. It didn't. It had nothing to do with it. How do you figure? Nami was having an affair with a married man. The usually talkative Yamamoto was at a rare loss for words after hearing something so shocking about a schoolgirl. He said he was going to leave his wife and take her away, but he lied. He said he didn't want to shame his wife's family, so he had to stay with her. I guess Nami couldn't take it, and that's why she killed herself. Yamamoto and Tamaki looked at one another, as if hoping the other had something to say in response to what had just been told. When the interview was over, Hannah left the cramped office that was becoming far too familiar for her liking. Do you believe her story about the affair? Asked Tamaki. Who knows? These days, anything is possible. But I know that girl didn't commit suicide. How do you know that? Because when they found her body, most of her bones were broken, as if she jumped off a roof of her house. But they found her slumped over a desk. That hardly seems like a long enough fall to cause such injuries. I heard one of the girl's friends was the one who found her. He claims she called her and she didn't get an answer. So she went to her house, and that's when she found her. When she checked on the dead girl's phone, we found that the two had been talking before we got a call about the death. So she was lying. You think she had something to do with the murder? Who says this was a murder? That girl was hiding something, but I know she has nothing to do with this. Are we gonna question her again? There's no need. We don't have the answers we're looking for. How can you be so sure? Call it a gut feeling. But I think the truth will come out in time. Will I ever become as cavalier as you? Yamamoto began laughing. Called detective's intuition, and you still have a long way before you learn. On her way home from school, Anna received a call from Aika. The news of Nami's passing was too much for her to bear, so she skipped school. Hello? I was thinking I could go see Sayuri and check on how she's doing. She hasn't been answering her phone. Look, Aika, I have a lot to do. I won't be able to go with you. Did you hear about Shizuri being the one who found Nami's body? I can only imagine how she must have been feeling seeing that. Yeah, maybe she's the one who killed her. You shouldn't say things like that. Look, like I said, I'm really busy. Call me back later. And with that, Anna abruptly hung up on Aika. Why does everyone bother me when I want to be left alone? Little did Hannah know that Shizuko was standing directly behind her. Sensing that someone was near, Hannah spun around, but there was no one there. Having allowed entry by Shizuri's mother, Aika made her way to her friend's room. Shizuri had been lying in her bed, hidden behind the covers. Hey Shizuri-chan, how are you feeling? Heard you didn't go to school today. Neither did I. Do you know when we're going back? Not only did Sayuri not reply, he failed to make any movement whatsoever. As much as I think about what happened to Nami, I can't make myself cry. What kind of person can't cry when one of their closest friend dies? Have I become that used to death because of what happened? What does that make me? Some kind of monster? You're not a monster, said Sayuri. Then what am I, huh? I'm supposed to be like you, in bed and shut away from the rest of the world. Because of what I did, isn't it? God is punishing me. Nami was so upset over the part she played in Shizuko's death that she killed herself. Bad as it may sound, I wish I could feel the same. That way, I could kill myself too. Aika-chan. Look, if I tell you something that sounds strange, do you promise to listen to what I have to say, no matter how much you might not believe me? Yeah, of course, I'll listen. I've seen Shizuko. What? What are you talking about? I'm not the only one who saw her. Nami saw her too. She never came out and said because she was too afraid, but I know she saw her. I know it. This is too much. How can I believe that you've been seeing someone who isn't alive? That would mean that you saw a ghost, and ghosts aren't real. I told you what I had to say was strange, but I think it was Shizuko who killed Yami. I was on the phone with her when it happened. I didn't tell the police because they wouldn't believe me, but I heard Shizuko's voice. She told Nami, not turn around. Look, Nami killed herself because she couldn't handle the guilt over what she had done. That's what happened. Now, you have to believe me. What I'm saying is true, then none of us are safe. Any of us could be next to die. The words that were coming out of Suzuri's mouth were falling upon deaf ears as Aika's full attention had become fixated on the picture lying on Suzuri's desk that had been found in Shizuko's bag. This is a cute picture. Did you draw it? Yeah, I drew it a long time ago. When Aika flipped the picture over, it was discovered who the girls in the picture were. A note had been scribbled in red, said Suzuri and Shizuko. Do you think there's something wrong with me, believing a ghost is responsible for what happened to Nami? No. Times like these, people can get so stressed, they start seeing the things that they aren't really there. Look, I was supposed to meet Hannah, but I'll see you later, okay? As Aika was making her way out of the room, Sayuri grabbed her by the wrist, preventing her from leaving. Please, Nami, Aika, please be careful. As Shizuri spoke, she kept her head lowered to prevent Aika from seeing that she was crying. You don't have to believe me, but you need to at least remember and look out for yourself. And with that, yo, what is up everybody? Ceresco back again. Another chapter from the story, Don't Turn Around, written by Jacob Harris. Remember to check out the links in the description, show love to the author, like, comment, and subscribe. Chapter 6. Aika had cut her trip to Sayuri's house short to meet with Hannah. Though she had told Sayuri she had plans to see Hannah, Aika had no such meeting planned. But the revelation that Shizuri and Shizuko knew one another was information Aika knew Hannah had to hear. The two agreed on the phone to meet at a local coffee shop to talk. So, Yuri was friends with Shizuko. The two were young. This is information we can use. How? I can tell that Shizuri's getting ready to do something stupid. He might even be thinking about going to the police. But if we get that picture and show it to the police, that could get them to stop harassing us and focus only on Shizuri. That shows that Shizuri had a connection with Shizuko, while the two of us had no direct link to her. The police? I don't think we should get them involved. Can't be helped. They've been sticking their noses in our business ever since that day. This is the only way to get them to leave the two of us alone. But what if the police don't believe us? There's no way to prove that the picture's even real. They could accuse us for forging it. We would start to look even more guilty than before if we try to make Shizuri look like the only one responsible. Alright, then what do you suggest we do, If we can get that picture, then we can threaten to go to the police if Shizuri decides to confess. I know it sounds harsh, but we have to do whatever it takes to ensure that none of us takes the blame for what happened. How do you intend we get that picture? Look, let's wait until she comes back to school. When I saw the picture, it was with her schoolwork. I'm sure she'll bring it to school with her. Alright, then it's settled. We'll use the picture to blackmail Shizuri to keeping her mouth shut. Such a good plan that I should have come up with it myself. Chocolate tastes even better when you know you're gonna live as long as safe, the free way God intended to. Hana-chan, do you really think Nami killed herself? Of course she did. Saw how strange she was acting. She couldn't handle the guilt. But the same thing won't happen to us, understand? You just have to keep telling yourself that we didn't do anything wrong. Why do you ask? Do you think something else happened that night? A few days later, Shizuri returned to school. There were more than a few strange looks from classmates, as well as whispers behind her back. Everyone had heard how she was the one who had discovered Nami's body, and most thought she was more than a bit suspicious. During a break from class, Aika invited Shizuri to the roof to finish the talk they started a few days earlier. You know, I've been getting these strange feelings lately. It's almost like someone is watching me. When I turn around, there's no one there. Call it a guilty conscience, even paranoia, but no matter how hard I try, this feeling won't go away. Have you been thinking about confessing? Never. Have you thought about telling the police? The lack of an answer was nearly as damaging as answering yes. Aika took Shizuri by the shoulders, said, "You can't think about doing that. Not at a time like this. Police don't have any evidence that we had anything to do with what happened to Shizuko. With time, it will all just go away." As Aika and Shizuri conversed on the roof, Hana began a mad rummage through Shizuri's bag. It took no time for her to find what she was looking for. How cute. Those two must have been good friends. Wonder how little Shizuko would have felt if she had known what Shizuri was going to do to her once they grew up. Aika then told Shizuri, "You have to promise me that you won't confess what we did. No matter how much you think it would free your soul from guilt, only bad things will happen. What happened to Nami? That won't happen to the rest of us." But Shizuri wanted to tell Aika what happened to Nami wasn't a result of a guilty conscience, but the result of a vengeful spirit. But believing that her theory that it was something supernatural, the blame would only be dismissed as nonsense. So Shizuri chose to keep what she had to say to herself. Hana arrived shortly thereafter. I thought I'd find you two up here. Hey, Shizuri-chan, guess what I found? Let me give you a hint. It's something that's gonna make sure none of us get into trouble. He then pulled out the picture of Shizuri and Shizuko from behind her back. What are you doing with that? Shizuri asked, and made a desperate lunge to get the picture back. Unfortunately, he was unable to take it. He then turned to Aika. Did you tell her about it? Why? It was for your own good, Shizuri-chan. Me and Hana thought you might be getting ready to go to the police, so we had to do something to keep you from doing it. Bingo! Aika told me about the little talk you two had the other day. He told me how you and Shizuko used to be the best of friends. So, you're still thinking about going to the police? then we'll show them this picture. It proves that you knew Shizuko. All me and Aika have to do is tell the truth. We didn't know her, and all. There won't be anything the police can do. They'll have to clear us, while you take all the blame. I wonder what they'll make up as a motive. Maybe unrequited love gone wrong. Look, don't feel bad, Shizuri-chan. Now you can finally move on. Can't believe you told her. You know, you shouldn't keep secrets, said Hannah. It isn't very nice. Good friend should always tell you everything, just like Aika did. You told her everything? Even about the ghost? Ghost? What are you talking about? After not receiving an answer from Shizuri, Hannah turned to Aika. What is she talking about? Aika was just as hesitant as Shizuri was to answer such a question. Answer me. Shizuri thinks maybe it was Shizuko's ghost that killed Nami, not suicide, like everyone thinks. Are you serious? You can't be. That's the stupidest. Hannah stopped herself before finishing. The delight she'd just been showing was quickly wiped away. You would have to be crazy to think such a thing. Do you want us to think you're crazy? Rather than look into Hannah's angry eyes, Shizuri turned her gaze to the ground. Look, if the police ever figured out what's happened that day, you're gonna stick to your story that Shizuko came back to seek revenge. They'll end up locking you away in an asylum with me and Aika given the death sentence. You're gonna be laughing while me and Aika hang. No, that's not true. Hey Aika, the jury plan is a pretty good one, don't you think? Maybe we should follow her lead. Hannah then pointed at Shizuri. Look out, there's a ghost behind you. Whatever you do, don't turn around or you'll end up like Nami. Shut up. Hannah then tripped Shizuri, sending her crashing to the ground. Do you really want to do this with me? Even if there was a ghost, it would be the least of your problem. I'm the one you should be afraid of. Come on, Hannah-chan, let's go, said Aika. You had better take what I said seriously. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end, chapter 6. Yo, what is up, everybody? So let's go back again. Another chapter, story, Don't Turn Around, written by Jacob Harris. Remember to check out the links in the description. Show love to the author. Like, comment, and subscribe. Chapter 7. As it did at such an hour, darkness had taken a hold of the city. Aika had just wrapped up another session at cram school, but she had stayed longer than usual on this day, going over notes with classmates. On the walk home, she decided it would be a good idea to call her mother, tell her that she would be home late. Mom? Come on, why won't you pick up? You're so lazy. The ringing then came to a sudden halt as Aika lost reception on her cell phone. Lifting her phone into the air, Aika tried in vain to regain a signal. Stupid phone. Just when I need you the most, you go out on me. On Aika's walk home, there was usually some amount of activity going on, but being out much later than usual, there was nary another soul to be found. The stores always passed were closed, but their lights turned off created more than enough places for someone to hide away human eyes. Unable to shake the feeling that someone was watching her, Aika timidly looked behind her. There was just enough illumination from a nearby streetlight to expose someone lurking in the shadows. The figure was making no movement whatsoever. All the shadowy figure did was stare at Aika. This prompted Aika to quicken her pace. Though she could hear only her own footsteps, Aika was sure that whoever it was who was watching her was now following her. Aika ran as fast as she could and didn't stop until her body had completely run out of energy. It took nearly every ounce of courage she had within her, but Aika eventually looked back and see her pursuer still behind her. But to her relief, she found that there was no one to be found. As she was catching her breath, Aika caught a glimpse of herself in a traffic mirror. Standing behind Aika in the reflection was Shizuko. Having just been running for her life, and now seeing someone who she thought would be dead standing right behind her proved too much for Aika to handle. She lost consciousness, collapsed on the street. Aika didn't wake until the next morning. She had been found by a good Samaritan and taken to a nearby hospital. She was questioned by police after waking, and in the afternoon, she was paid a visit by Hannah. Rather than starting the visit off by asking how Aika was, Hannah wanted to know how the visit from the detectives went. They didn't send those two idiots again, did they? As if they weren't already suspicious enough. No, they sent by a couple of female detectives. They think this was a case of stalking. I think whoever it was who found me probably scared the stalker away, before he could do anything. Well, that's good, but I'm sure those stooges will find out about this, and then they'll start up again with all their questions. Hannah-chan? What is it? Don't think I'm crazy, but before I passed out, I thought I saw Shizuko. Ugh, not you too. Look, I don't know what to tell you, but you did not see Shizuko. Maybe you're overstressed. I don't know, but Shizuko is dead. Maybe Shizuri was right. Am I the only one sane here? Shizuko's dead. Nami killed herself. You were so scared that you hallucinated, and Shizuri is completely out of her mind. Please put this idea in your head that Shizuru is trying to get revenge. Don't you think that if there was really a ghost, I would have seen her too? I was there when Shizuko died, so why hasn't this so-called ghost of yours made herself known to me? Huh? Can you explain that? But I saw her. Stop it. Just stop it. If you don't stop claiming that you can see dead people, then I won't be your friend. I won't have any trouble finding new friends who don't claim to see dead people. Understand? Sorry. Whatever you do, don't tell Shizuri what you saw. It would only make her think about doing something stupid. Aika felt good enough to go back to school the next day. Only Hannah knew of what had happened to her, and under her strict order, it would stay that way. As she sat at her desk and waited for class to begin, one of Aika's classmates asked her a question she had been hoping not to hear. Hey Aika, where were you yesterday? Were you sick or something? Turning to Hannah, Aika was given a cold stare. I came down with a fever, so decided to stay home. Well, don't give me what you had. I don't want to get sick. When Chizuru arrived, she immediately went to Aika. Aika-chan. Coming at her friend from behind, hearing a voice so close to her startled Aika badly. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Are you free to talk? I have something I want to tell you. Hana came over to break up the conversation. Aika-chan, come with me. I have something I want to show you. Never one to disobey Hana, Aika complied. Sorry, Sayuri-chan. I'm a little busy right now. Maybe we'll talk later. Going only as far as the hallway, Hana told Aika what was on her mind. Look, I don't think we should be friends with Sayuri anymore. She's just not the same person she used to be. We shouldn't have any more contact with her. Aika was able to look through the doorway at Sayuri. She was seated at her desk and looked like she didn't have a friend in the world. But Sayuri is our friend. No, she used to be our friend. Understand? Yeah. She then took another peek at Chizuru. And when she did, she found Shizuko standing behind her. Aika's eyes began to bulge. Don't feel too bad for her. She'll find new friends. As for us, I think we should start hanging out with some of the girls on the swim team. I hear lots of their fathers own businesses. Shizuko reached her hand slowly towards Sayuri's shoulder. Sayuri-chan! Exclaimed Aika, capturing not only Sayuri's attention, the attention of everyone in the classroom as well as in the hall. As if she had never been there, Shizuko was nowhere to be found. What's wrong with you? Asked Hana, pulling Aika away from the door so Sayuri could no longer see her. He then forcefully led her to an unpopulated area of the hallway. Why did you do that? You still want to be friends with her? Is that it? You choose her over me? After all that I've done for you. Because of me, we're still free. Don't you ever forget that. You understand me? But no more discussing this. Don't you see that she's a bad influence? She's putting all these ideas in your head. Look at yourself. Look like you're crazy. She's got you thinking you're seeing ghosts. I don't care if I have to start watching you like a hawk. I'm gonna make sure you stay away from that damn girl. When school was over, Hana led out Aika by the arm. Sayuri caught up with them as they were making their way through the front gate. Aika-chan, wait. Hey, Aika doesn't have anything to say to you. But I need to talk to her. It's important. Leave us alone. Can't you tell that we don't want to be friends with you anymore? Why can't you leave us alone, you freak? Go tell your crazy stories to someone who gives a damn. Thanks to what you've been telling Aika, now she's just as crazy as you are. Now I have to look after her like she's a damn child. You think I like having to do that? I hate it, so just stay the hell away from us. And with that, Hana angrily led Aika off the school grounds. As the two were leaving, Aika looked back at Chizuru. The look on her face made her look as if she desperately wanted Chizuri's help. When Hana and Aika made it downtown, Hana let go of her friend and turned back to her. Look, about what I said back there. Look, I didn't mean it. I was just mad. I didn't mean to say those things to you. It's okay. Look, truth is, I don't think of you as a burden at all. You're my closest friend. I never felt this way about Nami, and I never would have felt this way about Sayuri either. I need you, Aika-chan. If anything were to happen to you, then how would I explain to the police? Two of their prime suspects dying? How guilty will that make me look? Hannah's false sentiment had fallen upon deaf ears, as Aika's full attention had been captured by someone else. Through a nearby store window, she can see Shizuko watching her. In the blink of an eye, Shizuko had gone from being behind the store window to being directly behind Hannah. In the blink of another, Shizuko was gone. What's wrong with you now? Were you listening to me? Did you even hear a word I said? Where is she? What are you talking about? Before Hannah knew it, Shizuko was standing behind Aika. Whispered Hannah, her eyes bulging and her heart pounding like mad. Hey Aika-chan, don't turn around. And with that, she placed her hand on Aika's shoulder. When Aika began her turn, she realized she had backed into the road. By then, it was far too late for her to get out of the way of the speeding truck barreling towards her. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of chapter 7. Yo, what is up everybody? It's Resco back again. Another chapter from the story Don't Turn Around, written by Jacob Harris. Remember to check out the links in the description. Show love to the author. Like, comment, and subscribe. Chapter 8. Needing badly some time to gather herself, Hannah took a week off from school. Her parents were adamant she was not to be bothered by anyone while she recovered from the shock of what she had seen. Not even the detectives were allowed to talk to her. When Hannah had finally deemed herself ready to get back to the outside world, Detectives Yamato and Tamaki had paid a visit to her at school. Getting her alone in an empty office, the detective went on about their business. Unlike the other interviews she had given, Hannah was far less sure of herself. The smug girl had been replaced by someone who looked lethargic and desperate to be done with the newest situation she had found herself. Sorry we have to meet like this under these circumstances, but if you have any information to give us, we would appreciate it. You know, I didn't spend this much time at school even when I was a student. So, what happened this time? I don't know. I don't know anything. Witnesses say they saw you talking to the victim right before she walked into the road. Did you say something to upset her? I didn't tell her anything. You didn't walk into the school road by accident. Time for you to start telling us the truth. Look at yourself. You look like someone's coming to get you. Yamato then pulled out a cigarette and lit it. It wasn't just the fact that he wanted a cigarette. The tactic was to give Hannah time to think about what she had just been said. You know, I've seen many people in your situation. It usually doesn't take them long to crack. I don't have anything to tell you. People kill themselves all the time. It doesn't give you the right to start bullying people. Two of your friends commit suicide recently, and they were both persons of interest in the suspicious death. That can be a coincidence. Hannah, if you know something, we can let the court know that you cooperated with us. They'll go easy on you because you're a minor and you have a clean record. This doesn't have to be the end for you. Why are you talking such nonsense? You want me to confess to something I didn't do? So the two of my friends killed themselves. Everyone has their reasons. Like a jilted lover? Where's your clever story this time? I don't have to take this, you know. When I get home tonight, I'm gonna have my father sue you for everyone you're worth, and everything you're worth. After an interview was over, Hannah went to the bathroom, splashed some cold water on her face. Her hands trembled badly, lifted them to her face. In the mirror, Hannah found she wasn't the only one casting a reflection. Standing behind her was Shizuko. Able to do little more than shut her eyes and shake noticeably, Hannah awaited the same fate that had befallen both Nami and Aika. What do you want from me? I didn't do anything to you. It was all Nami and Aika's idea. I was just with them when they did it. You can't blame me. Sayuri's to blame too. I tried to put a stop to what was happening, but she wouldn't let me. Hey, Hannah-chan. Don't turn around. Unlike when Shizuko had done it to Nami and Aika, Hannah refused to turn around. She remained in her frightened position until the door to the bathroom opened. In entered two girls talking loudly. Oh, Hana-chan, how are you doing? Timidly opening her eyes and looking into the mirror, Hannah discovered Shizuko was no longer behind her. She spun around, found the girl who had come to claim her life was nowhere to be found. Paying no attention to the girls who had just entered, Hannah rushed out. The gloomy demeanor that had been so evident in Hannah was nowhere to be found during the course of the day. She seemed like a completely different person. The secret behind her miraculous change of character was that she believed herself to be immune from Shizuko's wrath. Having survived an encounter with the vengeful spirit, Hannah was sure there was nothing left for her to fear. She had come to realize that refusing to turn around left Shizuko with no way to take her to greater oblivion. On the walk home from school, Hannah found Shizuko watching her from across the street. The act that would have terrified most did nothing to frighten Hannah. So sure of herself Hannah was that she flashed a grin at her ghostly nemesis and continued on her way. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of chapter 8. Yo, what is up everybody? It's Resco back again. Another chapter from the story Don't Turn Around, written by Jacob Harris. Remember to check out the links in the description. Show love to the author. Like, comment, and subscribe. Chapter 9. With the recent week of school missed, Hannah was put far behind in her studies. She was unable to partake in any festive activities after school, and instead spent her nights locked away in her room catching up on assignments. On this night, Hannah had worked herself to near exhaustion. At her desk, she could barely keep her eyes open, but she was shaken from her lethargic state when the floorboard behind her creaked. Hannah knew immediately who the visitor to her room was. She knew that Shizuko had come to make another attempt on her life. Come to finish what you started, huh? You shouldn't bother. I know all about you now. You can't do anything if I don't turn around, can you? The lack of an answer was more than enough of a reply for Hana. Just as I thought. You should have known I wasn't as stupid as the others. If only you had come after me first. Then you might have succeeded. But I learned from my mistakes. And the ones the other made. Hey, why don't you go after Sayuri instead? She's been on edge lately. I bet you won't have any trouble finishing her off. Hana then began laughing. It was all my idea to lure you up there. The others had nothing to do with it, but they didn't try to stop me, because people are afraid of me, just like you should be. Shizuko reached her hand toward Hana's shoulder, but pulled it back. Nothing to say? That's what I thought. Why don't you do me a favor, go back to hell where you belong. There's nothing you can do. Shizuko faded back into the darkness. The next few days went by without any incidents. There were no sightings of Shizuko, nor were there any signs that she was present. It seemed the whole matter had finally been put to rest. But on Hana's walk home from school one day, she would find out the hard way that an angry spirit never just went away. Waiting to cross the street, Hana found herself suddenly feeling a familiar presence behind her. There were others around, leaving her unable to make any crude remarks without somewhat looking disturbed. Doing her best to ignore Shizuko, Hana waited impatiently for the light to turn green. A hand clutching her by the shoulder startled Hana. She remained calm. The calm was short-lived though, as Hana was then pushed off the curb and into the road. She had been pushed with enough force to send her falling. The speeding truck slammed on the brakes, but there was no way it would be enough to stop in time. Fortunately for Hana, she hadn't been pushed very far on from the curb, making it possible for a man waiting to cross the street to pull her back to safety. Are you alright? Why did you jump into the street? Are you trying to kill yourself? You bitch! Exclaimed Hana, completely ignoring the man. You can't do that. You can't change the rules. He then began looking for the source of her frustration, while Hana found a crowd of curious onlookers. Realizing how strange she was making herself look, Hana sprinted away. The so-called changing of the rules didn't end with that single act. For days, Hana was subjected to numerous random shoves by Shizuko. Most of them came at school, where Hana was made to look quite foolish in front of all her peers. For no reason at all, it seemed she would nearly fall down the stairs while running during PE, or fall in the middle of the hallway while there was no one near her to cause such an accident. The students at school were all entertained by Hana's recent string of clumsy behavior, but Yuri felt far from different about what she witnessed. She was able to see Shizuko while she was pushing Hana to the floor. Though Hana could no longer be considered a friend, Yuri felt she had to do something to help her. Hana? Sayuri said, catching her one-time friend in the hallway. What do you want? Look, I know that it's Shizuko that's been doing these things to you. Oh, so that's what you want to talk about. You came to rub it in, didn't you? No, I didn't. I just wanted... Hana cut off Shizuri before she could finish what she was saying. Did you think I needed your help? Well, I don't. Even if I did, there's nothing you can do. Just because she won't hurt you doesn't mean you can do anything to help me. You think if you ask her to stop, she will? Of course not. She's not going to stop until I'm dead. Hana's face quickly gave away sorrow. I didn't do any of this to deserve it. I just wanted to scare her. Look, if you let me help you, I'm sure we can figure something out. The grief that had overtaken Hana was quickly replaced by anger. You did this to me, didn't you? What? You told her to do this to me and the others because you were friends. That's why she won't hurt you. That's not true. Look, you probably go home at night and laugh at me behind my back. You wanted one last chance to rub this in my face before that bitch finishes me off. Thought I wouldn't figure it out? I'm too smart not to see through your act. No, you're wrong. I know how to put the end to this. You didn't think I'd be able to figure it out, but there are people who specialize in this sort of thing. Then she made her way past Shizuri, bumping into her roughly with her shoulder. Don't get in my way again. Hana had rushed to a local psychic after school. Most of the girls at school knew of the woman, as she was sought by young ladies who wanted to know what kind of boy they would soon start dating. Though many times her predictions proved to be quite wrong, she remained a sign of hope for those who had little left. So sure was Hana that her idea would work, that the smug demeanor that was so familiar to her turned once she entered the woman's establishment. Hana sat across from the shriveled old woman at the small table and listened intently. So, you say the ghost of your dead friend has come back to seek revenge? What did you do to her to cause her demise? Who said I had anything to do with it? She died all on her own. I never said she was my friend. Spirit that comes back for revenge always has a good reason. Look, I didn't come here to be accused of something I didn't do. Now, tell me how to get rid of this thing, or I'll go to someone else. You must return to the place where the girl's spirit left her physical body. For those, that is where her vengeance was born into this world. It is there where you must destroy something of hers that will take the place of her once physical self. That all it will take? Are you sure? That is all you need to do. If you don't believe me, you're free to go somewhere else. I've seen this work many times before. I have a picture she owned. Will that work? It will work just fine. Take the picture to where your troubles began. Destroy it. Once you have destroyed your chosen object, troubles will be gone. I'm going to get that bit, whispered Hana. Before she made her way to the beach, Hana called Sayuri and told her to meet her at the cliff where Shizuko had met her demise. She made sure to let Shizuri know that she was going to rid the world of Shizuko once and for all. The once clear sky had since become filled with ominous black clouds, and a fierce wind began to sweep across the beach. I don't think this was a good idea, Yuri stood at a distance from Hana. It was very near the edge of the cliff, like Shizuko had been. Of course you would say that. You don't want me to do anything to your precious Shizuko, but you can't do anything to stop me. Oh, Sayuri-chan, if only you hadn't told Shizuko to take revenge on us. We could have remained friends, but you had to betray me. Maybe you did it to save your own life. I really don't care, but for that, I had to make sure you never betrayed me again. What are you talking about? Before I called you, I sent a letter to the police. It tells them that they should look into the elementary school Shizuko used to attend. Then, check what elementary school you went to. It won't be hard for them to realize that the two of you used to know each other. That alone will make this police suspicious of you. As for me, I have no connection to her. I didn't even come to live in this city until junior high. Why would you do that? Don't ask stupid questions. Because you sent that bitch Shizuko after me like she was your attack dog. What made you think she was gonna do the same thing to me as she did to Nami and Aika, huh? I was there when she died too. I was just as guilty. Stop talking to me like I don't know what's going on. Anna then pulled out the picture Sayuri had drawn all these years ago. He then produced a lighter. You two have been working together from the very start. You tried to stop us from bullying Shizuko, and now you want us to die for what we did. How can you think that? I would have wanted any of us or any of this to happen. Nami and Aika were my friends too. I never wanted them to die. How should I know how you wanted this to happen? Maybe it's because you're crazy. Anna then held the picture up, said, "Where are you now, Shizuko, huh? Now that you know the end is near, you hide?" Doesn't sound like much of a ghost to me. Please stop this. Shut up. I'm gonna prove to you that no one messes with me. I don't care if they're living or dead. And with that, Anna lit the picture on fire. She held on to it until there was barely anything left, and then let it go, where it danced on, whipping wind, before it burned away, nothing. It's over. I hope you're proud of yourself, said Sayuri. Of course I'm proud of myself. Why shouldn't I be? I haven't had a care in the world. Maybe I'll visit you in the prison sometime. How does that sound? Afraid to look at me when you say those things? Asked Sayuri. I'm not afraid of anything. Before turning around, the cheer died quickly and Handa found Shizuko standing behind her. Ow! Shizuko took Hana's hand in a tight embrace and jumped off the cliff. Like Shizuko had done before her, Hana slammed into the jagged rocks below. With such trepidation in each step, Sayuri made her way to the edge of the cliff. Lying in a mangled mess upon the jagged rocks below was Hana. Even in death, her eyes were casting a vicious glare at Chizuri. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of chapter 9. Yo, what's up everybody? Let's go back in with the final chapter of the story, Don't Turn Around, written by Jacob Harris. Remember to check out the links in the description. Go show the author some love. Like, comment, and subscribe. Chapter 10. After returning home, Sayuri locked herself in her room and turned off all the lights. She had a very strong feeling that she would be receiving a visit soon, now that the 3 of the 4 girls responsible for Shizuko's death had been dealt with. As she had been anticipating, Chizuru began to sense a presence behind her. It was the moment she had been fearing, but at the same time, Chizuru was eager to get the moment over with, as the waiting had been wearing her down. Chizuru's heart began to race, and her breathing became sporadic. Still, Yari knew she had to fight her fear, confront her departed friend. "Shizuko-chan," said Chizuru, "I know that's you. I know why you're here. If it appeases your anger, then take me like you took the others. I'm just as much to blame for what happened to you as they were. I knew something was going to happen that day, but I didn't know things would go that far. Still, I shouldn't have been so afraid that I couldn't stop them." The presence behind Sayuri growing nearer. "All I've been able to think about these days is how good of a friend you were. If you had been put in the position I had been in, you never would have let anyone do anything to hurt me." Shizuko's hand was slowly nearing Sayuri's shoulder. "You deserved a better friend than me. I couldn't have been as good as you." Shizuko lowered her head as if she was feeling some sort of shame for what she had been preparing to do, the only friend she had ever had. "I'll never forget how we used to draw pictures of what we wanted to be when we grew up. We weren't afraid to tell each other our dreams. Remember the picture you drew where you were a nurse? You would have made such a good one, but we took that away from you. Not only did we hurt you, but we hurt all the people we were going to help. I never could have shared my dreams with those girls. They weren't kind like you, but that kindness led you to believe that everyone was kind, and that's why you died." Once again, Shizuko reached toward Chizuru. "Do it, Shizuko. Do it before I become one of those people who lives only to bring pain and sadness to others." Gently, a hand came to rest on Chizuri's shoulder. When she spun around, all Chizuru found was a piece of paper slowly falling on the floor. Picking it up, Chizuru discovered it was the picture she had drawn that was thought to have been destroyed by Hana. "Shizuko-chan? I'm sorry." The police had been notified of Hana's body lying mangled upon the rocks. Detectives Yamamoto and Tamaki were in charge of the investigation, as there was no doubt that Hana's death was directly linked to the deaths of her friends. "Well, looks like we got only one left. Do you think she has to do with the letter she sent us? Maybe she told her friend what she did. This was the price she paid for letting her secret slip. Look, that letter didn't tell us anything we didn't already know. We knew early into our investigation that the victim went to the same elementary school as one of our suspects, but she didn't seem like the type who would do something like this. We'll have a talk with her. It seems obvious now that she was the one behind the other deaths. It's always the ones you least expect, isn't it? Maybe." Then Yamamoto took a long drag of his cigarette and began pondering the bizarre situation. Then again, Yamamoto looked over to the edge of the cliff and at Hana, whose glare, even in death, sent a chill on his spine. Is it really over? Or did someone just create a new monster? Sayuri left her house early the next morning to visit Shizuko's grave before school. She had brought with her a single white lily, which she had placed at the foot of Shizuko's grave marker. Placing her hands together, Shizuri prayed for her friend. Shizuko, may your soul finally be able to find peace. Thinking of the friendship and pleasant moments she had shared with Shizuko, rather than the events that had led to her demise, Sayuri was able to produce a smile. Checking her watch, Sayuri realized she would have to hurry if she wanted to get to school before she was marked late. As she began her departure, a bitter wind swept through the cemetery, stopping Sayuri dead in her tracks. Something about her immediate surroundings suddenly felt wrong to Sayuri. The feeling grew to a frightening level. She realized someone was now standing behind her. "Hey, Sayuri-chan," said a voice that sent a chill down Sayuri's spine. It was a voice she knew well, a voice that had always frightened her. And it wasn't long before when a hand came to rest upon her shoulder. "Don't turn around." And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of our story. Yo, what is up, everybody? So let's go back again with the sequel to a story we read before titled Don't Turn Around, written by Jacob Harris. So this one is the sequel and I think the last book. So in case you guys don't know, quick recap for the first one. Story's about our main character trying to be popular, so she becomes friends with the popular kids who are bullies and assholes. Then a friend from where she grew up comes to the new school. Her new friends bully her old friend. As a result, her old friend dies. Now she's haunting her new friends and killing them off one by one. Like the simplest way I can explain it, but pretty much it. So I will put the links to the previous one in this story. That way you guys can listen to that, catch up, and then come listen to this. Anyways, use the links in the description. Show love to the author. Like, comment, and subscribe. Chapter 1. Winter had descended upon the city. It was commonplace for the streets to be deserted when the winter chill came rolling in. But a force far stronger than the cold was keeping the city's population hidden from sight. A thick fog blanketed everything in sight. It had curiously rolled in during the fall and never went away. It was at about the same time that many unexplained deaths began to take place. In the distance, a dog barked angrily. It was only able to get out a few barks, however, before letting out an anguished yelp. Silence then quickly returned to the landscape. A woman stumbled her way down an empty street. She was quite frail and looked near death. "Please, someone help us. We have no food. Please, someone help us." A few curtains opened and curious residents peeked outside, but none of them had any intentions of assisting the woman. Safety wasn't even assured for those inside of their homes. It was a near act of suicide to go outside. "Please, my children are starving." Every time the woman looked at one of the open curtains, the person on the other side immediately shut them. Please, please help us. A bitterly cold wind swept across the woman, bringing her to an immediate halt. She froze in her tracks, and it became painfully evident that someone was standing behind her. Hey, Miyuki-chan. Don't turn around. When a hand came to rest on the woman's shoulder, she made the most horrific of mistakes by turning around. The scream she let out was so dreadful that it sent a chill down the spine of those who had the misfortune of hearing it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, is the end, chapter 1. Yo, what is up, everybody? So let's go back again with another chapter from the story titled Don't Turn Around 2, written by Jacob Harris. Remember to use the links in the description below. Show love to the author, like, comment, and subscribe. Chapter 2. In one of the less popular areas of Tokyo, a dilapidated building housed Super Unexplainable Paranormal, one of Japan's least popular magazines that cover the paranormal and other unexplained phenomena. On this day, the chief editor, Mr. Yamagata, was looking over one of his newest reporter's most recent stories, while the nervous employee stood before his desk. The speed in which Yamagata would read the work of his employees made them assume he had made up his mind as to whether or not the story would be published by the time he had finished with the title. Yamagata dropped the stack of papers onto his desk. The look on his face said more than words ever could. Your story doesn't have that something that is, this magazine prides itself on. What do you mean? Our stories grab our readers by the throat, and they don't let them go until the very last word. This story of yours wouldn't even leave a mark. I want our readers to feel like they've just survived a life or death situation. So, you don't like the story about the woman in the woods? Yamagata grabbed a nearby pen and frantically began writing on the stack of papers on his desk. Change the woman to a giant rat and send it upstairs so we can get it to the press. The reporter retrieved his story from Yamagata's desk and took his leave. When he was alone in his office, Yamagata opened his desk and pulled out a bottle of whiskey. Where would this magazine be without me? As he poured himself a very full glass, Yamagata's phone began ringing. Even with his favorite liquor beckoning him to drink it down, Yamagata reluctantly answered the phone. Yes, this is Yamagata. Ah, Mr. Yamagata. It's your close friend, Mr. Ito. Ito! He was less than enthused to be speaking to his greatest rival. He made no further hesitation and drank down his whiskey. Hey man, how are things going down there? Oh, things are going amazing. Running the stories that your magazine is too afraid to touch. Yeah, that's You happen to see our latest issue. We received a lot of praise for our article about the carnivorous hot spring. You're a pure fluff piece. Did you see our last issue? People are still talking about our vampire mayor story. Nah, couldn't find any copies of your most recent issue. I've heard they had it pulled from the shelves because your vampire mayor threatened to sue you for libel. You couldn't find any copies because they're all sold out. And you couldn't be sued for libel if you never named the mayor you're talking about. Stop tiptoeing on the edge of what's legal and what's not. Yamagata poured himself another glass of whiskey and drank it quickly. You know, you never call unless you want something. So, stop beating around the bush and just tell me. Well, rumor has it that you sent some of your reporters to investigate the dead city. Dead city? There's no such thing as the dead city. It would be a waste of time and resources to send my reporters to investigate something that everybody knows doesn't exist. Well, I have a reliable source in my magazine that says you sent 3 of your people to cover your story. And who might this so-called reliable source of yours be, huh? Miss Tanaka, one of our cover artists. He used to date Mr. Takahashi. I believe he's the photographer you sent on the assignment. That damn Takahashi never could keep his damn mouth shut. I told him not to tell anyone about this. I couldn't trust him. I think Takahashi was trying to impress Miss Tanaka in some sort of attempt at winning her back. Suppose the cat is out of the bag, isn't it? Can't be helped now, but there's no way you can get a team to the dead city in time to beat us to the punch. By the time you do, my all-stars will be back and we'll start printing the best-selling issue in our magazine's history. Moron. Huh? You think I just now came up with the idea of sending people to investigate the dead city? I sent my best reporters to cover this story over 3 weeks ago. Liar. You sent them 3 weeks ago, then why haven't you published your story yet? Because they never came back. Vito, what do you mean they never came back? We lost contact with them shortly after they arrived at the dead city. Called their cell phones hundreds of times, to no avail. They're gone. Then why haven't they been reported missing on the news? The story would be on every television station and every newspaper. Police are sweeping it under the rug. That's our best guess. Word got out about this place. Every wannabe reporter and paranormal investigator will flock to the dead city and end up just like our reporters. You must contact your people and tell them to come back now, or it's too late. Yamagata was at a rare loss for words. I'll call you back. After pouring himself another glass of whiskey and chugging it down quickly, Yamagata retrieved his cell phone. He frantically scrolled through his contacts until he came upon Azumi Yoshida, his best reporter and one of the 3 people he had sent to the dead city. Come on, Yoshida, pick up. After a few rings, someone on the other end picked up. Yoshida, are you alright? How are the others? Did you reach the dead city? There was no response on the other end, only static. Yoshida! Though he was alone, Yamagata couldn't help but feel his presence behind them. He quickly looked back, but found no one there. At that moment, the call cut off. Hannah stood within the smothering fog. A most sinister grin graced her lips. Not strong enough, but I will be. Now, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of chapter 2. Yo, what is up, everybody? So let's go back again with another chapter from the story titled Don't Turn Around 2, written by Jacob Harris. Remember to use the links in the description below. Show love to the author, like, comment, and subscribe. Chapter 3. Despite its age and numerous mechanical failings, the company van had made it from Tokyo to the place now known as the Dead City. Ace photographer Kenji Takahashi was behind the wheel. And now that the trio had reached their destination, he was forced to drive at a far safer speed than he had used on the freeways and backcountry roads. Being within the city limits was one reason for the safer speed, but a blinding fog was a far greater reason to slow the van down. Told you I would get us here in one piece, said Kenji. Barely. You wouldn't listen to my directions and got us lost twice. Yeah, but I got us here, didn't I? You're very lucky there are no police on the road, said a voice from the back seat. I can never do anything right in your eyes, can I, college boy? Asked Kenji. Seated in the back was Shin Awada, the only other reporter at the tabloid with near the credentials of Izumi. Look, I only told you once that I went to college. And that was 4 years ago on the day I started working at this magazine. I only told you because you asked me. And you never let me live the fact down that I never got to go to college. Look, I came from hard-working parents. They worked all day in the coal mine to provide a better life for me and my little sister. They wanted to send us to college, couldn't afford it. Your father worked at a bank, and your mother was a teacher, and you don't have any siblings. Kenji's demeanor immediately changed to far more cheerful. I can see why you're our number one best reporter. That's why they send me to cover the most important stories. I knew all that stuff about him too. A pair of wooden barriers up ahead prompted Kenji to slow the van down and eventually come to a stop. Trying to keep out tourists, I see. Come on, let's go move them. What? Why do I have to move them? Because they're too heavy for me to move on my own. What, you want me to ask Izumi for help? Fine. Alright, I'll call Yamagata. Now that we're inside the city, maybe we'll get a better signal. Izumi retrieved her cell phone and attempted to call Yamagata. The call dropped immediately